I claim to be this person, not selfish, not
Welcome,
greedy,
welcome
but
everyone to
that's not
Stillness and
me.
Chaos.
It's hard to be. I hate to be
Mehak
this
and
way.
Mansi, I always start with a little bit of music
Not me,
just to
that's
ground
me.
ourselves before we start.
It's hard to
Is
see.
that okay?
I close my eyes and I scroll towards city
This is
light.
someone called
Wonder
Raghav
why
Mittal.
we drift here and
Miattil.
why
I don't know if
we
that's.
haven't
Ah,
lived.
Mehak will join us soon.
I close my eyes and I relate to take a step. I wonder why I can't see the sky and all the stars.
Hi Mehak, welcome back.
Yeah, hi.
So welcome everyone. Welcome to Stillness and Chaos. For those who don't know me, I'm Daniel. I'm the founder of Stillness and Chaos Consulting, and because you. I truly believe that all of us are wise, joyful, human, creative human beings, right? And but sometimes a mental health issue, emotional distress, grief, whatever it is, kind of clouds who we are as human beings. And it's my life's purpose to help other people, but also go on this journey of finding who we are as this beautiful human being that we are. Right. So stillness and chaos is one of the ways that I do this. Every couple of weeks, I speak to awesome people like Mehak and Mansi. We talk about different things, but what I try and do is center the conversation around well-being and inner leadership, right? Because when we go on this leadership journey, on this mental health journey, especially, it's a leadership journey, and all of us need to care about well-being, and we need to make this more well-known and yeah, and we just need to normalize these conversations. So that's what stillness and chaos is. This today's conversation is about from self-doubt to self-trust, something that Mehak has kind of wanted to talk about, which we will. Those of you who are here who will see this later on YouTube, thank you for watching it. Welcome. And finally, for those who are watching it now, please put in your comments, your questions. We can, add that in. And we love to have other voices in, right? Otherwise it'll just be us talking, which is also fine, but it'd be nice to hear other voices in the room. So today's topic is actually really close to my heart because firstly, Mansi is a Teach for India fellow 2015, and Mehak was a student. So this is I was a Teach for India fellow in 2009. So this is like a coming home of Teach for India fellows in some ways. We've had our different paths, so that's very special. And the second is just the topic, right? I think self doubt is something that all of us deal with, and I know I've dealt with it a lot, especially in my mental health journey. So thank you both for taking the time. And maybe I can just do a quick intro, a little bit, and then I'd love to ask you to maybe share a little bit of a memory of each other. But Mansi, you're the co-founder and CEO of the Saturday Art Class. I love your vision, right? You say a world where all children are inspired to create with confidence. It's such a beautiful vision, and what I've understood of that, and what see of your work is how you're creating a safe space for children to really express, find their voice, heal, and really thrive. Right, and I think it's a beautiful vision, and thank you for doing the work that you're doing. You're obviously a Teach for India fellow in 2015, and you've done a multiple fellowships, so you love to do fellowships. So we won't get into that. But Mehak was your student there. So Mehak, you were in, I don't know which grade were you? Were you in grade 3 when you were, Mansi was grade 2? Oh my lord. Um, wow, what a journey. And you're now currently studying in SNDT College as an art student. Um, you're also, you're a youth artist as an Azaria Collective. And I think what really stood out for me, Mehak, was when I met you. I saw you on a panel, and it was you kind of just showed up as yourself. You didn't feel like you were trying to be someone else. You just showed up as yourself, and you spoke beautifully and articulately. And I think it was a testament of the work that all of us do for children. So I just wanted to say that to both of you, and a big welcome to Stillness and Chaos. You're on mute, huh? In case, so both of you can unmute yourselves so then we can speak. Do you want to, like, maybe you can just start by sharing, both of you known each other for a long time now, so almost 10 years. So it'll be awesome to just start with maybe a memory of the other that is just special as a way to introduce the other. Mansi, would you like to start?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having us here. I feel like this is going to be a very reflective conversation for me, but it's also a very special one because the Mehak has really grown up, and I'm just so excited to like have this conversation with her and also just hear her perspectives about so many things because that gets me to the maybe the first memory or like a fond memory that I have of Mehak. Um, so tiny 7-year-old Mehak, right? In the old school in Shankarwadi, we had two schools that we had to move. We had to move from the old one to another one, which is now the Shankarwadi that we all know of. But I do remember Mehak was always like this quiet child in the second or third row in class always, but always I think very quiet but very observant. So you would feel like she's not paying attention or she's just, in her thoughts, but she was observing every single thing around her all the time. And I think that's just what makes up Mehak now with her deep thoughts and her perspectives about life and leadership and well-being, etc. But I always remember this like happy, chirpy face, and I would always see Mehak and her mom together. So when I see Mehak, it's also like I always get reminded of her mom. And I had this way of addressing all the moms would be like Mehak ki mummy, which I still like. It doesn't change, even though like we're almost the same age or whatever. It's like Mehak ki mummy, and then she would call me Mansi Didi, and that was just a relationship we had. And then there was this tiny Mehak who was I would just say the calmest student in that chaotic second and third B class at Shankarwadi Mumbai Public School. So that's like my first and the memory that I will always remember Mehak as. It's my first exposure to
Beautiful,
her.
beautiful. So there was a calm Mehak in the chaos of your first year of teaching. I know how chaotic that can be. Mehak, what about you?
Yeah. So for me, like my first memory with her would like I can define a single, but like we have a lot. But special one is when she celebrated her birthday with us. Like she got Taz also her dog, her pet in a classroom. Like so that's a memory. Like I love dogs, so I got to see at that age. Like I wasn't able to get in my house and have a pet, so I was able to see her pet, and she even got on a call with her grandmother to some of the kids. Like those are the things that I always remember, and I even told my friends and all कि see मैंने दीदी की दादी से बात किया, and then we saw her test, and also like those her birthday celebration, they're like very special for me because someone first time celebrated their birthday with us, so like it's a special thing. Like no teacher celebrates her
Mm.
birthday in the like classroom or something. That's always special.
Mm. Lovely. And I know, I mean, I had 61 kids in my class when I was teaching many years ago. And I think, the memories that we have with the kids are probably some that we will never forget. Right? And they're so special. And I know it's the same from the other side. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. I'd love to maybe, sorry, go on.
No, also um I feel like I still can't digest the fact that they've grown up. Like some of them are taller than me, and I'm like, wait, you're all these tiny. I always call them tiny. I always call them adults in the bodies of tiny 7-year-olds. The students that I taught, because they're so mature and so aware of their surroundings, but still like the tiny human beings. So I'm still digesting the fact that Mehek's now such a smart, mature, grown-up lady and not a child anymore. So yeah, just taking all that in.
You sound like a mother, but
I know.
totally understand. I know exactly what you feel. Awesome. Would love to maybe just go back to, because all of us are shaped by many things, right? We've obviously been shaped by this teaching experience and so on. But if I had to, just as a way again to get to know you, because big part of this show is also, personal stories and seeing who has shaped us. If you had to just think about this, right? One moment, a person who shaped you to be the person you are today. Um, What comes to mind? I know lots of things are there, but just maybe one moment of a person. Either of you can go.
I feel that I would go ahead with the person. Like we have this TFI fellowship, so like we used to always get these like in our like what around 8 years or something. But then we got a bhaiya, Gaurav bhaiya, the fellow of our ninth and 8th and ninth grade. So that was a special like thing, like because we all were waiting, we are getting new fellows, so it will be Didi or bhaiya, and then suddenly we got to know that we are having bhaiya in our classroom. So that was a very like lovely moment for all of us. But I would say he shaped me because it became more special. Like I used to feel free and comfortable with Didis to share and to talk, but I was a bit nervous that now this is Bhayan. It's not just me, all of our
Mm.
like girls in our classroom, that how would we connect with him. But the way he approached our things and the way particularly to me, he has like shaped me in many ways, like not just with my leadership or what I want to be or want to think, but every moment when I felt like I'm not doing great or like I was in a doubt for myself, he was the one who stood up and said, "No, Mehak, you can do this." So I feel he's the one who has shared me a lot out of my family members. So I would feel he's the one who really cares and like looks after me every moment. Still, he's like on my admission times, he was there. And whenever I get like unwell or something, he's there to call me and say, "Oh, how are you doing? What's happening?" So he's the one I can say. I
Mm.
appreciate that.
So he's someone who's, in some ways, who's always been there. You kind of feel that
Yes,
he's got your back.
he's the, yeah.
Um,
Like apart from my like brother and dad, he's the like the third person in males who are like really close to me right now.
right. And also someone who kind of like kind of gives you the belief, right? Every time
Yeah,
you're feeling a bit of self doubt, you kind of
and the
have that.
most important is like the safety. Like the kind of fear right now girls are having, and the perspective and like to feel safe and to have that comfortable space. So he's the person who created that for me. So that matters a lot.
Hmm. Right. Hmm. Yeah, have some reflection, but I'll pause for now. Mansi, what about you? And anything, if as you're hearing Mehak as well, if anything comes up for you.
Yeah, I feel like I've had different people in different phases of my life that have really impacted me, and then I also I am very grateful for those people. But I think overall, just the person I am, the personality I have, certain traits I have, I think I'd like take it all back to my grandfather. I think when it comes to like discipline, respect, etiquette, hard work, which is like there's no option beyond, like there's nothing but hard work that needs to be part of your DNA. Um,
Hmm.
I think that would be even the person who like motivated me to join the fellowship. And then he passed away like just before I started the fellowship. But he told me that, and he used to call me Mano G. Like that's the just like even though I was like this tiny kid, I was called Mano G, and he said, these 2 years are going to change your life. And because my parents were apprehensive. They were like, what is she like doing? My parents are doctors, so for them there was like, what is this fellowship? Like, where is she going into teaching, etc., etc. But he literally told my father, he's like, these 2 years are going to shape her life, and she's never going to be the same person again. And I feel like every moment, and I know your previous guest was Moina Croy, and he was actually my program manager through the shaping period of Teach for India's 5 week some whatever the institute. And at that point, I had just lost my grandfather. So I even with Moinak, I spent a lot of time. We had this activity of like you're sowing your seeds or something like that at that point. But I remember it came up a lot, and I still feel very, very influenced by him when it comes to leadership, managing people, understanding like what my beliefs are, how I want to sort of build my life. I think that's just a constant. He's a constant like reminder of who I am and who I want to be.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather. I'm sure if he's
Thank
looking
you.
down, when he's looking down right now, he's very happy with where you are. I know how hard you work, and it's definitely changed your life these 2 years. So,
Yeah,
amongst many
for
things
sure.
that he was right, he clearly was right about this.
Yep,
Um,
100%.
Beautiful. And Meg, just tell us a little bit about, maybe growing up similar to, Mansi, people in your family, people around you in your neighborhood. Give us a sense of, you growing up and how that was and how that might have shaped you.
I feel that the people I was surrounded with like the most were the fellows, then the family members, and like one of my friend in my classroom called Shazia. So Didi would always remember her as well because she's the one of like my best friend at that time. So like I remember that how friendships are like important. I got to know from her like because I remember my hand got fractured in some of like twice or thrice in my whole school life. So she was the one who used to, like we had a on fourth floor a classroom. So she used to lift up my bag, my tiffin and everything so that I will be okay. And then she used to write on my behalf, like Didi writing on the board. So I can't write. So she used to write on my book first and then she used to go and home and write for herself with my book. So like she was the one. And then, as I said about Gaurav Bhaiya, then of course my parents, like the ones who have sacrificed everything for me, who I am today. So I feel a lot of privilege and people that I have in my surrounding are the one who have shaped me, and I'll be always grateful for them because I won't be particularly pointing out one person or someone because I
Yeah,
feel at every moment and each time the people I have met have shaped me in some or the other way.
yeah.
So I feel they all are important and they all have shaped me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mehak, if I could ask you, because when we were thinking about this conversation, you talked about this as something that you wanted to speak about, right? From self-doubt to self-trust. You just want to share like where that came from, just like what was important about that for you.
Like when you asked me about what I wanted to talk on, I said
Yeah.
this because in my 10th grade, I was a bit depressed because of my like few friends in my classroom. Like there was a moment where few of the class boys were not behaving well, and they were abusing our fellows and all stuff happened. And I'm someone who is like if something is wrong happening, so I can't you know wait and see that कि ये ठीक हो जाएगा कि ये किसी कोई change करेगा. I'm the one like if I'm not able to change, at least I can tell someone who can do it. So I used to tell my previous fellows that these are the things happening, and those things led to a like different paths. Like they started seeing me as my fellow's pet, like they used to say that she's the one who is the favorite of the Didi and all. So all those stuffs happen in 10th class, and I was like literally crying every day. I used not speak for months in classroom. So I feel that time I was a lot in my zone where I was doubting myself that am I doing this wrong, right, or and that was like my board time. So I was also getting weak in my studies due to those pressures. So I remember Irene Didi, the one who was the fellow in my 10th grade. She told me this thing about self doubt and self trust. That she told me that right now you're doubting yourself on who you are and what you are doing. But remember, once you leave this classroom, you will be the one who we will be most connected with. And these kids who are not respecting us and we are getting angry on, they will remember like we should have not done this. This Didi is so nice, and also those kind of advice and thoughts she gave me. So I feel from that time, from my 10th grade, this thought came, and I really wanted to discuss this with people out there because not just like me, there are people outside who have other moments where they have doubted themselves, and the trust that they have in themselves has lowered down, and they have feel like there's no one to look after me. And so I think we should trust ourselves rather than depending on someone else. Okay, now they will trust on us, so then I should go. We should not wait for their approval or approach. I think we should just go as we are. So I'm the one like living my life on my own and on my own beliefs. So like I'm just great for what I have right now.
Yeah. And I know that that must not have been easy, right? In that
Yeah.
moment, in that 10th grade, um, like feeling like everyone else was against you and you were in that space. Mansi, what comes up for you as you hear this, or if you had to think about the same question?
I completely resonate with Mehak. I feel like you don't always need, or you don't need external validation when you're trying to, uh, I guess, just figure out who you are and what path you want to take. Um, I've been in this situation couple of times. I think what I'd like to talk about is just like you're also not sure about what kind of a leader you're evolving to be, or what kind of a leader you are or you should be. Um, there's always like what you learn about or you read about or just hear other people talking about these great leaders and their strategies and their approaches, etc. But it takes a lot of work to get to where you need to be, and that process is filled with self-doubt. But there are these moments in leadership where you're like, you know what, I have done something right. I may not feel like I'm doing something right now, but when you kind of move through that phase is where I think the self trust really shines. Um, so I believe that for me the self doubt to self trust has come a lot when it comes to my own leadership journey. Um, you know, being dealing with people, managing people, growing a team, um, working with different stakeholders. It's all an evolutionary process, and I feel like it constantly changes as you grow. But being aware of the fact that the self doubt can also turn into self trust is a very, very powerful, um, very powerful, uh, I would say, tool to keep in mind, because that's also what helps you power through those low, tough phases of life.
Say more about the leadership journey, and maybe if you had to go back to, an instance or a moment when you like really doubted yourself and said, "What the hell am I doing? Who am I?"
I don't know what different entrepreneurs say or feel, but I feel like it's a constant like I feel like it's constantly occupying my brain because we're also doing something at Saturday Art Class which is not very conventional. So when you're with a group of people, a majority of people who are always doing conventional things, you're always wondering like, what am I doing? Am I trying to intervene like or get the arts into India in a group full of FLN? Where's well-being arts and social emotional learning even finding its space? And I think that's like where I think the first doubt arises. And this self-doubt is it's like, how do you say, it's eruptive, so it doesn't leave with just one, then it sprouts the other ones, and then it just becomes like a community and a family of doubts. So it's all of that, right? Before you, like, while you're like, and I think just I'm also a very vulnerable individual, and I think that vulnerability also comes into my leadership. So I'm also very open about the doubts, or like about the apprehensions, or about the fears that comes with building something that is unconventional. um so I would say it's all of it, and it's specifically a lot when you're like in the room full of the larger, bigger organizations or funders, etc., and you're just like, wow, am I really advocating and fighting for the arts? How is that going to be taken? But it's been a process, and then the self trust comes after that. So trust being our friend here. Yeah.
I love that. A family, a big, nice community of doubts, always in our head. How does that manifest? How does that show up for you? Like, what happens? How does that impact you, your family, your friends, whoever you work with? Maybe Mehak, if I could ask you.
Sorry, Mehan, can you repeat?
I said, how does self doubt? How does that impact you and your maybe your people around you?
Yeah. So I feel most of the time, like, it impacts a lot in a way where you're coming from, like what kind of doubt you're having, because there I feel Saturday Art Class is working toward that, like this only, like getting a student to trust themselves in a such a way through art, because we have this space where we play with colors, and we have the freedom to express ourselves and art. Even there is no one such like to say that if you have a question you can't raise that question in classroom, because we have always been taught by our fellows that you have to raise your voice, you have to question up. So that's a like Saturday is also a place which gave me like made me an impact, a good impact, which I would say to open up and to be the one who I am. So I feel that for me it has impact like in a good way, where I used to play with art, not just thinking that this art would be on wall, but more than being on a wall, it always stayed with me and let me know that okay, this art tells something or defines me. As in, we had this activity where we had to paint ourselves, like we had our portraits and we have to paint that. So we did that activity in Saturday art classroom, and like, so it was what you want to become. You have to portray yourself like that in your portrait. So I always want to become a teacher. Still, I have that only a clear goal. So I made myself like a teacher and all everything, and I still have that with me. So whenever I look back to that picture, so I know that this is my goal and this is what I have to achieve. So those are the things that impacts you. And for my surrounding people, I am not much aware about them. But in Nazaria right now, my friends, like they are doing other art mediums like filmmaking, photography. So they are getting their ways out. So like what they want to become, like it's not always from childhood you will be clear about your goals or what you want to become. So I had a lot of friends who were like very upset about not being clear about their life, and their parents were like too strict or something, like they're like देखो दूसरे बच्चे तो सोच भी लिए है क्या बनना है क्या करना है, but you are still here.
Hmm.
So that used to like hit me back because the parents used to appreciate me in front of them. So somewhere I used to feel that now my friend, what would she or he be thinking, like my parents are not praising me rather than praising her. So I feel that art is a tool which gives you a lot of clearness about yourself and the people you're surrounded with. So it impacts you in a lot of ways. Like for me, as I said, for being who I am, like what I want to become. And the people right now, one of my friend, he clicks like amazing pictures. So like he's right now saying that I want to become a photographer. So that's something he came up with his own talent. And even right now I'm doing the other stuff, so I sometimes I feel like I can do like what I wanted, I always thought of, but I can achieve different things as well at the same time. Like I don't want to be just a teacher or just someone who's teaching like in from morning 6 to 12 to kids and just going back home. After that I can do a lot of what I want to. Like right now also with studies I'm handling my Nazari Art Collective project. I'm working in like a college projects that are like good, like drawing, arts, mehendi. So those are the stuff that I'm doing, which I'm enjoying. So I feel there are a lot of things that you can do ahead in your career without being particular, like in a profession. So art is like my love for me, not just because Saturday class, but I can say Saturday art class came and it gave me a lot of past, like the clear past to be in, like and what to be. Because I remember we didn't had like say proper art class or something in our classroom. So what they used to do, our school people in early times, they used to just write in the calendars कि इस दिन ये होगा, ये subject होगा, and on Saturday or Friday you'll have art class or craft class, and they used to let us just sit on those days. बट फिर जब से सैटरडे आर्ट क्लास चालू हुआ, वी यूज्ड टू एक्चुअली गेट द पेंट्स in classroom, drawing books, and we used to actually do them, not just them seeing them on the timetable and then saying okay, we have this and then art class and craft class, but actually not happening. So those are the stuff that I always remember.
Yeah, and I mean, if I had to go back to some of the times when I feel self doubt. I felt self doubt today,
Yeah,
in fact, in trying like coming up and doing this show because I'm not feeling 100%. But so I feel it even every single day, even when I'm 42. But anyway, so those moments are difficult, right? And I think like I love what you're saying, Mehak. There are different ways to know who you are, find who yourself, and maybe what you're good at, what you want to, and all those are really good. One medium is art, another could be something else, right? And you found that through the Saturday art class. I know that like teachers have a big role to play in actually making you feel like you are something more than who you think you are. And sometimes you need that other person to see that in you, right? Because sometimes we don't see the beauty in ourselves sometimes, and other people need to see that for us. And like, I don't know, is that I'm just curious, Mansi, does that resonate? Does that kind of dive into a little bit of what made you start Saturday art class and how art is used as a tool?
Yeah. Before I answer that, I just want to plug in Mehak. You need to apply for the fellowship, huh? When you finish your Teach for India fellowship, like you're ready to be a teacher. You're ready. Like I feel like we're talking like it's eventually going to be three TFI alum if we do this call like 5 years later. So
5 years
just putting it
later.
out there. Yeah, yeah. Um, but I think Mehak and her classmates were a big reason of uh, behind why we started Saturday Art Class. Even the name of the organization is actually coined by these kids because they started calling art class on a Saturday Art Class. And my co-founder Chavi and I were so naive enough to, and I think best decision, but at that point didn't seem like it. But it was like, okay, we'll name this organization after something that these kids called it, not realizing it. When you grow it as an organization, people are going to be so confused about the name. But now I'm so proud of the name, and I don't think it's ever going to be like a doubt about like why we named it Saturday Art Class. Although we used to get asked these questions a lot, like, do you only work on Saturdays? What do you do on the for the rest of the week? What is your actual job? But honestly, the crux of this organization, it's built on children's voices and their agency when it came to asking for what they wanted in education. I was very much into, again, like making sure these kids could read and write, but really forgot that there were 7-year-olds, like I say, like adults in the bodies of like 7-year-old children who were going through so much but couldn't process anything because the classroom really wasn't their space. Like they would have to come, submit homework, do phonics, write, do writing class. Do you remember Mehak, the ID structure that we used to use where you would draw, then you would label the thing, so you learned how to write. But I feel like while all of this was happening, which is great, like academic growth, you also need to acknowledge that children are going through specific stages of their lives and they need to also just be children. They need to express and they don't need everything in a structured way of a math or an English class. And like Mehak mentioned, there was an art class in the system. Like there were 3 art classes in the week, but there was no one coming and teaching them. And I remember when we went and asked who can come and teach art, they said just draw a joker on the board, let the kids copy it, finish your admin work. And that's when I realized I first of all I can't draw a joker. Like my drawing skills are not that good. But also that's not what children need. And I'm like a psychologist. My background is of psychology, so I had completely forgotten about in that process of bringing growth on those trackers. I'd completely forgotten about like who these individuals are in the classroom. So Saturday art class actually began because I had these 3 students who came and asked me, like, great that they got comfortable in asking me like these questions, but why are you converting every art class into an English or a writing class? And I was like, whoa, didn't think you were catching that. But I think it's what children need, irrespective of where they come from, how old they are. I think every human like needs a safe space to express, but also needs a language that has no boundaries or background. Like you don't need to just because a child cannot is not doing well in English because they're in an English medium school, but that's not the language they speak back home. You can't gauge a child on like how much they're learning or how well they're doing academically because of their math and English scores. And art just helps in every way. It helps you comprehend. It helps you understand what you're processing. It helps you express. It helps you uh, deal with difficult situations. It helps you deal with great situations. It's just your own language. And that's what we also do. If you see the kind of art children create in Saturday Art Class, it's not your conventional um, mountains with birds like bee birds and a sun and a house, and you don't copy. You create your own. So I think and I always say class 3B was my motivation to start. Otherwise, I would have never known that this was like a gap that existed. I would have just finished my fellowship and been like, now what? So I
Mhm.
owe it all to them to put that Saturday art class concept in our heads.
Mm. And if I had to ask you, Mehak, the other side of it, right? So Mansi talked about how your class was an inspiration in some ways, and we are kind of going back into the self-doubt, someone seeing you as more than who you think you are. Like, can you talk a little bit about your experience in that classroom and maybe you kind of, getting to know yourself a little bit better, or seeing yourself in a new way because of Mansi and maybe someone else in your the other fellow maybe.
So I feel I would start with like the class that we had with Mansi recently, because I feel a lot of change at that moment only rather than like while growing up. Because I feel that first before like starting Saturday art class, like, for whatever time we were together, like I have studied from LKG in the same school, like which I have been. And I was never seen anyone like opening up to each other. Not just me, but the other students as well. Like the routine was like coming and doing assembly, sitting in classroom, writing the thing that teacher's teaching, and then going back home. Like we used to have only 1 or 2% like just say like friends who we can talk, and the rest class we are not, like we are behaving like strangers. But we got this thing, like we used to Didi used to taught us like sharing is caring. So we used to share our things and all. So I learned from that from her. Okay, so like used to do that, and we started that. And right now I feel that we all started respecting ourselves, and we became good classmates. So like I won't say that previously we were not. Obviously we were, but after having such classes and going on like trips or something from schools or something, we started looking after our mental health as well for our friends. Like we used to talk about their lives and their things. So like one thing I would share that in eighth grade or something right now, we became us all like all the girls and boys such good friends that our rest of our classrooms, the girls and boys sit differently, but in our classroom, TFI classroom, our fellows used to make us sit with like all like female and male, like they were not something like that. So we used to sit together, and one day our this ma'am, one of the ma'am came, and she told our Didi that let them sit separately and don't make sure that they talk. So that thing hit me back, and I was like, why they are not letting the boys and girls talk? And that moment I realized that such a good friendship and bonding we are having in our classroom, and we can't see in other classrooms. So that's something I feel was something that I learned, and maybe while growing up also we like still we are in touch with our friends, and we can say that if I want to go back and talk about my experience or something, so I can go back and ask them to do something for me, or even if something not good at home, I can go back and share with them. So those are the things that really, stood out for me whenever I look back to my journey of schools and school days and classrooms. So those are the things that have taught us a lot, like about each other, about treating the people who you are with. So it's a really great learning that you have to respect each and everyone. And the last thing that I shared, like sharing is caring. So that's the like biggest learning of my life, that
Mhm.
if you share something, like not just things, or even if your emotions you're sharing, you get something, you get like kind of relief and everything. So that's very important in
Mm.
our life.
If I had to ask you another one level deeper question, if you had to think about yourself, like what has changed about you? Like if you had to think about you as a person, what has changed in you after this experience, through this experience?
I feel I have started responding rather than just reacting. Like I feel I used to react a lot, like in previous times. Like if anything used to happen, I used not to take a moment to realize what is happening, whom I should go and tell. It's not just like wrong things. Even if good things are happening, I used to not observe them a lot. And I feel the change that I've got right now is like I take a moment, I take time where I am with myself, and I think what's happening. I go
Mm,
deeper and research about that thing, and understand where that thing is coming from, even if it's good or bad. So I get to know the reason behind it. So I don't react right now with whatever is happening around me. I just take a pause and look back what the reason, what the perspective right now. In Nazariya also we are learning, like Nazariya is all about perspective. So like we always believe that the person in front of you is telling you something, or even it's good or bad, or you are responding that person, you should always think before what you're telling or what you're speaking. So I feel that has changed a lot in me. Like I used
mm,
to get angry very easily, I used to shout on people very easily, like not in this classroom. Like I used to have a calm side in my classroom and then something at home, but right now I'm the same person at every place. Like I'm not changing the person who I am in different places and with different people. So I feel I have like create a great bond with my family members also right now. The way I treat my parents gives me such wholesome vibes. Like I see the younger people right now. they have a lot of distance with their parents, but I never had that because I was always open to them. Like, so there are things that my friends aren't able to talk to their parents about, like such as studies or something, or like anything that they want to share, like have happened in college or something. But I can do that, so I feel that's a big change in me, that I have started opening up to people and started
Hmm.
knowing that how people will react on me is not like what I'm gonna think. I just have to listen to them. I don't want to take what they're saying. I don't have to like do what they're saying. I just have to listen and think if it's good, then I can work on it. If not, then I have to just let it be. So that has changed a lot in me.
It's very wise, Hamek. Um, Pause before responding, before reacting, expressing yourself, but also knowing that other people can say what they want, but you kind of hold yourself. Great, Mansi, what's going on in your head as you're listening to all of this?
No, I'm like, I needed this. I needed to hear this, Mehak. I feel like I also resonate with you. I can see that you're the same person and you're a calm, same person in different settings that I see you. So, yeah, I just feel like wise words spoken by Mehak, deep, wise words that everyone, all of us old adults needed some reminders of. So, I think that's what's going on in my head. Yeah.
um, Say a little bit more um, about people around you, Mansi. I mean, Meg spoke about Gaurav and the grief he's had, and a lot of our moving from self doubt to self. Actually, for me especially, I need a safe space. I need someone who sees me for more than who I am. Right? Who like are there people around you? Is that easy? Is that difficult? Like, what has your journey been with that?
Yeah, I feel like recently I've I've had some incredible, not recently, I feel like this journey of building Saturday Art class has been rewarding. However difficult it has been, it's also been very rewarding because I've met some incredible people who've just been with me through it all. Um, my co-founder is one of the most like beautiful people inside out. And I'm just so happy we've been through so much together, but the last 8 years have just been incredible because Chavi is like she's my calm in the chaos. Um, so like of course starting with her, but we've had some amazing mentors who've just helped us shape our like journey, leadership, decision, strategy, both personally and professionally. I would say you can't. Sucheta Bhatt once said this to me. She said, "You can't remove the personal from the professional, vice versa. You're one person." And I kept struggling with this. Like earlier, I used to keep struggling with this. How much am I doing this personally, or what am I doing professionally? And this like war kept going on in my head. But I think I've come more to ease about like balancing them both and knowing that I'm one person through it all. Um, some incredible people who've just made us, I would say, survive and almost thrive in these 8 years. I'm also very grateful to have a, a very good coach who I met through one of the fellowships, and has been through all the phases I've had in the last 3 years. And of course, my husband. I think he's he's like my walking, talking best friend and therapist. Not even therapist, but I just feel like my best friend who knows everything that's happening, but also a great guide. He's also an entrepreneur, so I feel like we go through similar journeys. We can relate to each other. Uh, I feel like being an entrepreneur is one thing, but also being a part or like being a team member is another. So I think that because we get the entrepreneurship side, it's good to have that buddy. And he's also the one who kind of motivated both Chavi and me to start Saturday Art Class almost 8 years ago. Uh, yeah, and of course like people who may come in for different roles but then take up different roles as mentors, friends, guides in this process.
Hmm.
And you have to keep them close, and you really have to keep reminding yourself how grateful you are, and then keep reminding them how grateful you are for them. But then they get very shy and awkward about it. But I think that reminder is also for myself that we're very lucky to have that level of support.
Yeah. Um, we've been wow. We've got 15 minutes left. I'm just conscious. If anyone's watching, please share comments, questions, reflections, anything you want to ask of these two amazing human beings. We'll bring that in. Um, Mehak, how are you feeling at this moment? What's going on? Uh, what is there something you'd like to talk about that we may have not touched upon?
No, so like I'm very happy. Like I never had such kind of conversation with her. Like having it after a long time with her, and it's very like make me feel proud as well. Like looking at her, what she's doing, and all. And I feel like I was just wondering like about her challenges that she would have faced. So right now, when I saw one of my fellow right now, when I became enough mature that how she was handling her fellowship, and then Nazariyat Collective as a program outside the fellowship in school. So it was very hard for her to do, but we were there to help her a little bit. So I don't know at what like she was handling the Saturday art class and the schools. I think our school was a bit less supportive sometimes. So I feel I just wanted to know about her challenges and all to know so that I can be like satisfied because I'm facing a lot challenges and would be facing. So I can just get some guidance from her, like what should I do to handle
Love.
them.
That was exactly my next question. So, Mansi, now both of us want to know what's yeah.
Mehak, also, I'm very, very proud of you. So, right back at you. I think while you said in the first year of my fellowship, I feel like it was tough. And it's tough. I think change is tough. Okay. I'm not talking about the school. I'm not talking about the fellowship or anything. In life, change is tough. But then when you get warmed up to the fact that it this too shall pass, then it automatically like your body prepares you for change and just like the challenges that come with it. But I feel like the minute I made the classroom my own, right? Like I think I was very concerned about what was happening in the school, how the teachers were accepting me. um just some context, I was the only fellow in a first year intervention school, so it was like just me and the new school and my classroom. But the minute I started internalizing what was happening in my classroom, and when I made my students like my people, everything changed. So that's when like that. I remember one of our students, Rohit's mother, came in um, asking me for art class because Rohit is very good at art, but they didn't have access to it. And then slowly, I think once I made the classroom my foundation, I learned how to fail at delivering lesson plans. I would go, not know how to convey it to y'all, come back, try something else, try and do different things, etc., etc. The minute I got support from my students is where I started then venturing beyond that. And now I feel like even till date, the headmaster, I think both of you all saw him. He was on the panel with Mehak, the teachers, etc. I feel like that school is like my second family, and it's been 10 years since I first entered as a fellow. But this literally in the next month we're starting our own model art classroom in the first BMC school in Bombay, and we're going to try and show what art classrooms could look like in a school, and hopefully BMC carries that off, and sees that and acknowledges that and understands that it's important. But those, I think, were fellowship days, but those taught me a lot, dealing with people, accepting people for who they are, knowing that time solves everything, knowing that I don't think I'm patient. If you ask my team, it's always like Mansi and her speed and energy, but like I feel like patience, I'm internally patient, may not be externally, but I think patience is something that really comes with time as well. Like you need to tell yourself to be patient. It's very easy to tell yourself, but it's not easy to be patient. But impact and building something takes time. I have my lows. I have my deepest of the lows, and again, that self doubt really creeps in and can really creep in. But then you have your people, you have impact. I recently saw this one picture of one of our classrooms in Nagaland, and I saw these two children making art and like five outside the window staring into it,
Yeah,
because they wanted to see what the art was happening in a classroom. And I was like, this is why I do what I do. um, there are challenges. I feel like a lot of people don't understand. A lot of funders don't understand. A lot of fellow entrepreneurs don't understand why we do what we do. But then you'll find people like y'all where we can connect, be vulnerable, and just like know that this is the connection that we all that also I think fuels us. So those are a couple of, I think, wider challenges that I can think of.
Current challenge.
Mm?
What about a current challenge that you're dealing with at the moment?
I think we're in this phase of growth in the organization, which is I've learned now is normal, but I'm also I'm also trying to understand the pathway to that.
Hmm.
Um,
What
yeah,
does that mean?
it's a little complicated. No, I think the more and more you try to build, grow, scale, uh, there are sort of leadership challenges with that. You need to your organization still it's not like that young baby organization. You want to formalize it. So that process of how do you take care of people, but also how do you look at be have the vision for the organization, and that balancing act is tough. Um,
Hmm.
I think I'm also really missing my co-founder because I feel like both of us are like a yin and yang for each other. So if I am good at like if I'm zoomed out, she's zoomed in, and we need that balance. But beyond that, I think I'm also very grateful through these challenges because I always take it a like make it a point to reflect after I've gone through a low. And my father says this like life is like a wave, and after every like low will be a high, and after every high there will be a low. So how do you just prepare yourself for that? But when you're in that high, you shouldn't forget about that low, and when you're in that low, you know that there's going to be things are going to like look better for you. So I think that's been I think I feel like I just went through a low, and now I'm slowly getting onto that the wave is sort of rising. But I keep going back to reminding myself that I've come out of something and we're sort of flowing.
Yeah. No, thank you for saying that. Thank you for being
Yeah.
vulnerable. I know, like, I've had my deepest of lows, and one of like someone I heard, I think it was a quote. Someone told me this. He said, a deep. I've gone through a deep, depression phases, right? And he said, when you're depressed or you feel really low, it's like a dark, stormy day, right? And you think that you are the clouds, but actually you are the blue sky. The clouds will pass. You just need to focus on the blue sky, right? So that reminded me of you when you said that. But thank you for sharing that. Definitely, there are highs after the lows. I know that more than others. Mehak, what about you? If you don't mind sharing, what's the current challenge you're dealing with?
I feel that right now I'm not able to balance things like um in my current time, such as like I have board this year, then extra classes, Nazaria, and like family stuff. So I feel that's like one thing that I'm very tensed about, like how I will be able to achieve multiple things that I want to, and I feel that's difficult, but I have done it last year, so maybe I can do this time as well. So yeah, I'm just a bit nervous because it was 11th grade and now it's a board, so a bit tensed about how it's gonna go and what kind of percentage I'm gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just reflecting on where we are coming to, right? It feels like we've
Yeah,
spoken about, like, you started in 10th grade, what happened once. You talked about, her journey as an entrepreneur. I spoke a little bit about my own personal mental health journey, and now we went through the self-doubt, the self-trust, all the stuff that has helped us. And it feels like at this current moment, all of us are, in some space where there might be also a little bit of self-doubt happening for each of us in some way or form. So like it's a good reminder that we can bring in all the stuff that we spoke about, and we've done this before. We've moved from self-doubt to self-trust. We've seen ourselves as the beautiful human beings we are, and we can do that as well now. Cool. I'm just going to pause. Like, what's going through? How are each of you feeling? Anything that you'd like to share? I have one last question for each of you, but anything else that you'd like to talk about at this moment?
No, I think Mehak, to your like what you feel is a challenge, I feel that please remind yourself that you did it last year, and it won't even feel like a challenge this year. You're like, I've done this before. It's just going to be like a notch higher. I know that we're all very proud of you. What you're doing at Nazaria, your just your ability to articulate your thoughts and put them. Sometimes I'm in awe because I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe you're articulating your feelings and thoughts so well. So I feel like I just want to close out on telling Mehak how proud I am of you and all the other 30 tiny 7 year olds who are not 7 year olds anymore.
Mehak, do you mind if I play a song for you?
Yeah. Oh,
My art,
oh,
my way of expressing
that's so
myself
sweet of you.
is through my guitar and by singing. It's a beautiful way of
Yeah.
releasing and
Yeah.
expressing
I
emotion.
remember we used to have one bhaiya, Aditya bhaiya. He used to play guitar for us in our classroom and used to play like sing song, yellow songs. So that was a moment. It
Good,
just
good.
reminded me of that time.
Okay, lovely. So now I'm going to sing a song for you, and it's called "If You Want to Sing Out, Sing Out." Okay. If you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be. You know that there are. You can do what you want. The opportunity's yours. You can find a new way. You can do as it takes. You can make it all true. You can make it until you see. Ah, it's easy. Ah, you don't need me to show. If you wanna live, live high. If you wanna live low, live low. 'Cause there's a million things to do. You know that there are. Basically says if you want to sing out, sing out. If you
Oh,
want to live high, live high. Okay, your whole life is in front of you. So
amazing.
our whole lives. It's not just about you. It's about us
Thanks for that
also.
reminder. Much
Thank you.
needed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
Okay.
voice.
Thank you.
Amazing.
My self trust is coming back now. One
Same
last
mine.
question for both of you, if you don't mind. What does stillness and chaos mean for you?
Mm.
When you hear it, is there an image, a phrase, someone, whatever it is?
I feel just this moment and this call with us because right now I feel this. The meaning of this is that when everything is chaotic and you are in trouble, when you cannot get time to see and observe yourself, you want that one moment where you can just sit with yourself and look after what you're doing, what people you're surrounded with. And at this call, I just got my stillness. So I'm very grateful for that. And I feel it's amazing to be in a place where everything is chaotic and you're just calm and composing what you want to do and want to achieve. And those are the things that matters to you. Where you're following them. And yeah, that's
Mhm.
very grateful for me to be here today. Thank you. And the
Beautiful.
song made my day.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too. I think for
Next time you want to
me,
feel the stillness, you can just remember this picture: me holding the guitar and Mansi's
Yeah.
smiling face. That's one of the memories for your stillness.
for sure. I think for me is just remembering to be grateful for everything else that is working out while the chaos is still in progress. Because I think when we're in a chaotic situation, we believe that it takes up everything from us. It drowns you, and it stops you from comprehending anything beyond the situation you're in. But if you really like break out of it and zoom out, you realize there's so many other things working for you, and you just have
Mhm.
to be grateful in that moment. So I don't think I do it enough, but just to be grateful and to let people know you're grateful, or just to or remind yourself that there are so many things that work out, even though the rest of it may be chaos. So give the other things that are working out some space in life as well. Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I just want to, both of you have said this, and it reminds me of something, right? Both of you talked about being yourself, in some ways, actually loving yourself, because that's actually the most important thing sometimes, to move from self doubt to self trust. So I found this quote today by Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a beautiful Vietnamese Zen master,
Yeah.
spiritual leader. He says, "You must love yourself before you can love another. By accepting yourself and fully being what you are, your simple presence can make others happy." Okay, so I wish both of you much presence, whatever you are. That is what going to make other people happy. You don't need to change anything about, not just you, about me also. Let's not change anything about ourselves. All of us. Lovely. Thank you. Thanks everyone. I'll be back in a couple of weeks with someone else. I don't know who, but there'll be someone amazing, and we're talking about some other interesting stuff. Mansi and Mehak, thank you both for being yourselves and taking time for this. Thanks so much. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for having us.
Bye. Bye bye.